All right, let's get into it.
I suppose it's Friday again.
It is. It's weird. It happens every week.
Yeah.
But yeah, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Warfighter Tobacco Podcast. I'm John. That's Scott. We got Justin over there as our producer extraordinaire.
So we'll get into it. You had an event this last Saturday that I missed.
I did. We had the Fink's Lone Star Cigar Bash. And I think it was their 12th year in a row, if I remember right.
Nice.
I think it was. But so they throw a huge one-day event here in San Antonio every year. And you get some phenomenal deals on cigars. We had 24 vendors that were set up there. They had 700 people show up.
It's pretty good.
That's huge. Yeah. That is huge. There was a lot. And they had a live band. They had some live auctions, some silent auction. But the whole event benefits the Fisher House. So their whole goal is just raise a stupid amount of money. Like they raise like, hold on, let me math real quick. It's like 7-figure stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of dollars
nice. on
a 4-hour event. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
They got it dialed in.
Now it's a 4-hour event
that takes all day.
It takes probably 5 months to put together.
Well, yeah. So it's a 4-hour. So for example, for my part in the 4-hour event, we got there at noon, and I got home at 10:15 p.m.
Oh,
so now we got there a little early. We got set up. We hung out. Like there's 23 other vendors that we know,
right?
That we don't all get to see in the same room at the same time.
Right.
So we got our booth or our table set up and get everything displayed and figured out the best ways that we could, work it. And then immediately went around and started bullshitting with everyone else until they opened the doors.
Right.
They have VIP tickets. Like they get you, I think it's an hour early access. So I know, for instance, for us, we started the day with 10 boxes a night shift for the event. I think, I don't even know how many we had total on the table. We had the whole table is filled with boxes. Yeah. It's only a box sale event. It's not singles. You don't get 5-packs. You just buy boxes. That's
right.
it. So we had 10 boxes a night shift sitting on the table. And I think by the time they let in general admission, we had 1 box available.
Wow.
It was nuts. I mean, it's good. I appreciate it. And the customers were great and the people were awesome. I ran into a lot of people. I ran into a nice lady that we actually met at the river like 4 years ago.
Yeah, you were telling me.
And we might have been a little intoxicated, but she remembered all of us by name. I was like, I can't even tell you what year it was, lady. I'm sorry. It was bad. Yeah. And then, a bunch of guys that we already know. And so it was a really awesome event. So we'll be doing it next year. As long as they keep putting it on, we're going to keep supporting.
Yeah. Nice.
It's really nice when events like this work out how they're supposed to. And there's a benefiting charity that actually does good work.
Right.
Like we've been to a lot of events that are, for lack of better words, they're a for-profit event. It's just a big cigar bash that somebody puts on, and it's fun. It's a great time.
Yeah.
But the end goal for that is essentially somebody needs to make money.
Right.
Where this one, the end goal for this is we need to raise money.
Right. Right.
And it like everybody was on board. It was so cool. They did those auctions where they're not actually auctioning anything. We're auctioning how much you want to donate.
Right.
And so they did it kind of cool though, because sometimes some guys start at like $50 and then they work their way up. These guys started at $2,500 to work down.
Oh,
yeah. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, but just careful if you're the first one wanting a bid.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, they had a bunch of stuff, a bunch of liquor vendors. It was super cool. It was in one of the buildings in the Freeman Coliseum area,
right,
by the AT&T Center, which is also where they host the San Antonio Rodeo, which you cannot smoke in. So when I go to the rodeo this year, I got some. You can't smoke here. I watched 700 people smoke in that building. And it got smoky.
How much is the permit? Can I buy it just for me for the rodeo?
Well, and so here's the thing, because the rodeo in San Antonio, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, that's fun. Yeah, we're gonna go to the rodeo tonight. Like, no, I think it's like 3 weeks long.
Yeah.
And it's like people go all out for it.
Yeah.
So when we first got down here and I found out about the rodeo, I was looking at us going to set up as a vendor.
Right.
No tobacco products.
Oh yeah.
Period.
Yeah. That's the nature of the big game.
You literally can buy alcohol anywhere you look.
Yeah.
Can't have tobacco products.
Right.
What? Okay. But if we rent out an entire building, can they tell us no?
I don't know. Maybe not. Just have a
This is the San Antonio
section.
Rodeo Cigar Lounge.
Yeah. There you go. That's what I'm talking
And it's
about.
a 25,000 square foot building.
And it's 21 and up to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have a full bar and a stage.
Right.
Yeah. I think we do better than most other. We might be onto something.
We might be onto something there.
Redact all that. No, kidding. Yeah. That would be so fun though. That's my only gripe about when I go to the rodeo
Yeah.
is like, because there's so much stuff to like do and look at and see and whatever, like walking around outside, if like I'll smoke a cigar
Yeah.
and not a single person has ever said anything to me,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And then, but the people that I go with, they smoke cigarettes.
Right.
So it's like, we'll be inside and, you know, it'll be like in between bands or in between, you know, whatever event they're doing in the rodeo and they're going to change out shit. So like, quick, let's go have a smoke. I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck. I'm like, well, I'll quickly go out there and smoke 5 minutes of my 45-minute cigar with you. And hopefully it doesn't get thrown away in between.
Right.
But yeah. Yeah. And then next week, I'm going to be on a 110-foot boat in the middle of the Caribbean Ocean
Yeah, that's awesome.
that has a smoking section.
Hopefully it does.
No, it does. I made
In
sure.
the middle of the ocean. Should be fun.
Well, so a lot of boats you can't smoke on.
I've never owned one
No, that you can't a boat or that you can't smoke.
that you can't smoke on.
Yeah.
It's been weird.
Usually though, the reason is because the boat's a little bit older, and there's a potential of. I mean, you're sitting essentially, you're floating with a couple 100 gallons of.
I don't know if that's
fuel.
the reason, or maybe the boat's a little newer and it's really expensive, and they don't trust people to not burn holes in their shit.
Because that new boat I smoked on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was still in its breaking period, and
Yeah.
we were lighting cigars on that.
Nice.
But no, even like some cruise ships you can't smoke on. Some do have smoking sections, but some of them they don't allow you to do it. And I mean, I think it's super weird.
Yeah.
And then some cruise ships have literally a cigar lounge inside.
Yeah.
But you know, so yeah. But no, we can smoke on this one. So it's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah. I went to Rednecks, right?
Yeah.
And we don't need to get into all that. Watch Freedom Friends podcast if you want that whole situation.
The debacle.
But I can definitely smoke in my side by side because when I unloaded it, I brought it in. It had mud in it and it had cigar cellophane
All over.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's why I like the Defender. It has an ashtray.
Yeah,
And then you just stuff all your cello in there.
The X3 does not have a lot of storage room.
No.
No.
It's built for speed,
Yeah.
and the Defender's built for comfort.
Yeah. The seats are super comfy in that.
They
though.
actually are.
I was surprised. Not once did it like bother me to just.
Well, because
hang out.
once you're in them, it's really hard to get out of them.
It's true. Yeah.
It's
It's not as easy as
No.
for sure.
Scott, how often do you get stopped when you're out at these like off-road parks and smoking a cigar? Do people stop and like ask you like, "Hey, what you smoking?"
Not real often.
Really?
Usually, if I see somebody smoking a cigar,
Yeah.
I'm the one.
I will. Yeah. If I'm out somewhere and I see somebody smoking,
Yeah.
we're talking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Michelle gets stopped more because they're like, woman, it's usually another chick. You're smoking a cigar, like, yeah, and so usually she's the one that surprises everybody that
Yeah.
she's smoking cigars.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Huh. I was just
Yeah.
curious.
Sometimes people will stop us. They think we're smoking big old blunts, I guess. I don't know. I'm like, no, man, it's just a cigar.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit. Like, dude, that would kill me if it was marijuana. Are you fucking
You know how
insane?
expensive this would be?
Right? Like, holy shit, dude.
I think Snoop Dogg did that. He made like a cigar, like
I'm
a
sure.
Toro size.
Oh, they
Yeah.
Bert Kreischer did it on his show.
That,
He had the
yeah.
cigar roller, but had him do it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah. I'm sure that was fun right up until all of it hit him. And then he was like, ah, fuck.
You know, I feel like,
I would smoke it like a cigar though, and maybe it wouldn't kill me initially.
you know, I feel like this it's relatable to alcohol, right? Because you can reach a level of drunk,
Yeah.
and then you can go 15 drinks past that. But does it fucking matter?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
agree. Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like if this was a blunt or this whole thing was filled with weed,
Yeah.
I'd get like that much into it, maybe a half inch, and I'd be like, "What do you want me to do with the rest of it?" I'm retarded right now. I'm not on
wouldn't
this
even get
planet
that
anymore.
far.
You know?
So, but it's amazing how many people ask that. Like, is that a blunt? Like,
Yeah.
no, dude.
Does it
No.
does it smell like one?
Right.
Let's think this out.
You just start telling people like it is, and then just hand it to them
Yeah.
and see what they do, because they'll inhale it and they'll die.
Oh, they're dying.
You just
Like, oh, sorry, that's the wrong one.
you just gotta be like, yeah, it is. Hold on, let me pull out my phone real quick. All right, yeah, go ahead and take a drag. Be a great man on the street segment.
That would be. Oh, shit. You said you had a topic.
I do. So this one's really fun. And the reason why I say it's fun is because it has to do with the government. And it
already sounds.
let's just say right now, this is the first time you're hearing about the United States government. Okay, but what I'm about to explain, if you take the process that has gone on from start to finish about this subject and you apply it to anything else that the government does, it makes complete and total sense.
Okay.
Because government's a shit show, and this process, by the end of it, you're going to realize that the cigar industry is paying, they call it a fee, but it's essentially a tax.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And now this fee, the government said that the general public, the general taxpayer, shouldn't have to fund the regulatory side of tobacco.
Right. Yep.
So instead of just using general taxpayer funds, we are going to tax just the tobacco industry. And we're going to use that tax to pay ourselves and fund ourselves so we can regulate it.
Right. Yeah. That you're speaking as if you were the
If
government.
I was the government,
Yeah.
yep. So if you're big tobacco, if you're the tobacco,
Yeah.
across the board.
Here, I'm going to pay you to regulate me
But no.
and make it hard.
But you didn't volunteer. So I told you, hey,
Right. Yeah.
what you're doing, we need to regulate that,
Yeah.
right? And then the tobacco was like, okay, well, how do you want to do that? I'm like, well, we're going to figure it out. But in order for us to figure it out, we need to get funded for this. And tobacco is probably like, oh, sweet. Like Congress ain't going to pass this.
Right.
And then the FDA or the government's like, yeah, so you're going to pay us so we can regulate you.
Yeah.
And then tobacco's like, wait, what? Yeah, but we're going to make it a lot of money too. Right. So last year, so these numbers, they're called user fees, right?
Now all tobacco, cigarettes, chew,
Yeah,
cigars, everything.
And each one's regulated differently.
Right.
Because one cigarette is different than one cigar. And so the user fee that's assigned for each one's different.
Right.
Right. So for fiscal year 2024, now the user fees are set by Congress, right? So I can't be like mad at the FDA or the ATF because of this.
Okay.
This is a congressional thing, which they don't really know what they're doing either. But
Right. It's just in some random bill that they vote for. They've
this-
never actually heard of this.
yeah.
Nobody in Congress has actually read this and be like, yes, I will vote for that.
Yeah, this
It's
makes
just-
sense. I understand why they need $712 million in 1 year to regulate tobacco. I guarantee you,
Yeah.
nobody in Congress can say that. I understand why they need this.
Yeah.
No,
No, this
you
is
don't.
no.
But either way, so for fiscal year 2024, the user fees that were determined by Congress were $712 million. And they're divided up between all the different types of tobacco. The exact amounts are based on a percentage of each product class, cigarettes, cigars, etc., paid in excise tax during the previous year, and then divided among the various companies making said product. So it's this really fucked up formula that they use.
Right.
And it's based on the number of cigars that are brought into the country and the number of manufacturers there are.
Right.
Okay. That still doesn't really track, though. I mean, it does, but it doesn't.
Well, you pay your user fees when you import it. So
Yeah. And they're paid quarterly. And so they roughly now cigarettes are way different than cigars. Cigars roughly, user fees are roughly between 5 and 10 cents per cigar. Across the board, doesn't matter manufacturer. They do vary between the manufacturers, but that's about what they are. So in fiscal year 2024, around 148.7 million per quarter is required to be paid by cigarettes, for lack of better words. Okay. That section of the right. Tobacco, product categories. Just because they're the dominant one, they sell, more. The premium cigars is projected to pay $25.5 million per quarter, $100 million this year.
Okay. Now, John, I have a question.
Okay.
There was a court case a year or two ago.
Oh, this is my favorite question. I was hoping you were going to ask.
See, this court case said that premium cigars should not be regulated by the FDA or the government, but yet we're still paying user fees.
Yep. We are.
So what does that mean for the industry? Because we're paying for a government agency to regulate us, but this court said that they can't regulate it.
So last September, which is when all that went down, or not when it went down, but that's when the FDA essentially lost in court. Starting in, I think it was the end of last year. I believe it was. I think it was the last quarter of last year. They stopped collecting user fees.
Oh, they did.
They did, because they deemed it was deemed through that ruling that it wasn't applicable.
Okay.
Right. So Q4 of last year, the tobacco industry,
cigar industry,
or excuse me, the cigar industry stopped having to pay the user fees.
Okay.
Right. Because we never had to, according to that ruling. But user fees were paid every quarter by every manufacturer from 2016 until Q4 of last year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. So you got what? Almost 8 years of user fees of essentially. So 800. Let's just go off of fiscal year 2024's projected amount of $100 million. Well, you know what? Let's cut it back 25%. Inflation. Fuck it. $75 million times 8 years. Or not, yeah. I need to math this because my brain doesn't work. 75 million times 8. I gotta turn my phone because I got an error. Maybe.
What? Take a couple zeros off there and do the math.
Yeah. There we go. $600 million.
Okay.
So the past 8 years, the premium cigar side of tobacco in the United States has paid, my guesstimate is $600 million in user fees.
Right.
So they could regulate us.
Which
imagine if you had $600 million to regulate an industry. What could you do?
I'd regulate the shit out of it.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but where'd the money go?
Right.
Like, where'd $600 million? I mean, the only pieces of paper that I get that cost money to print that are in regards to what we do in business, they come from the local state.
Yeah.
And it's this, 21, age verification stuff that we have to put up in the front because we're mandated to do it by law.
I'm sure there's a couple salaries that it's covering.
Okay. $100 million a year worth?
You know what? The cigar industry should.
What's that? That's 1,000 people making $100,000 a year.
Yeah. The cigar industry should at least get a refund for the amount that we had to spend on legal fees to defend ourselves from said regulation, right? Like, imagine what that would do if you gave all that money back.
Yeah.
So are they talking about giving the money back?
So now this is where it gets really funny in here. I'm trying to remember where it was in this article where they talk about. So the user, this is just general information. It might be in here as well. The user fee system is also a source of frustration for FDA and other tobacco product categories. Because the user fees are set by Congress, FDA is unable to adjust the details of how it collects them. Since 2016, the agency has been unable to assess user fees to e-cigarettes or vaping companies, despite the fact that these are likely the largest drain on CTP manpower, which is the Center for Tobacco, through the government. Furthermore, the amount of yearly user fees has been frozen for the last few years. Earlier this month, FDA asked members of Congress to rewrite the user fee schedule to both increase the total amount CTP collects and also to allow the agencies to collect user fees from e-cigarettes and vaping companies. So the Center for Tobacco Products wants to increase user fees and add 2 more.
Well, yeah, but they can't. I mean, now that premium cigars aren't paying them, they're in a deficit, right? Oh, wait. They don't have to regulate us anymore.
That's it.
Right? But now they were used to that money. They got to get it back somehow. The government doesn't ever shrink, John.
No, I get it.
They need to figure it out. They need to make more money.
Yeah, it says in here too, the judges were curious how the ruling might impact user fees, specifically whether or not any companies had requested to have previously paid user fees refunded. The thinking in favor of a refund is that if the FDA shouldn't have been regulating these products to begin with, these companies shouldn't have had to pay the money, and therefore it should be refunded.
Right.
It's unclear how this process would work. Apparently, it would mean that CTP would need to refund more than $100 million paid between 2016 and 2023, which that number doesn't really make that much sense.
Yeah.
Because if just in 2024 we got to pay $100 million,
right?
But there's a question of whether the FDA would go after companies on the other product categories to make up the difference, or if the money would come from somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Lindsay Powell of the DOJ said she was unaware of any companies asking for a refund. You want to know why, Lindsay?
Because there's no form for us to
I
fill
can't
out.
call the DOJ and be like, hey, I've been paying user fees and you guys stop charging us for those. Yeah. Can I get a refund?
Hey, run that up to your boss. Oh, you've never heard of it? Well, go talk to Lindsay.
Yeah.
Lindsay needs to know that I would like a refund. That's why you haven't heard of that, Lindsay.
That's like, when you want to get a tax refund, you just call the IRS.
Right. No, John, I have an idea. I'm going to apply this to our company locally.
Okay.
Right? So I think we should start charging all of our employees so that we can afford to set up an HR department.
Oh, you know what?
You know what I mean?
That's good.
That way, just so that way they can have
How much do you think it'll cost for an HR department?
Oh, they're expensive. They're like $100,000, I think.
Okay.
A year. So
yeah, that's too easy.
Yeah. So we'll just that way the employees will have to clock in and out.
Yeah.
They'll have to fill out forms if they want to go somewhere or, but we should make them pay for us to regulate them like that.
Yeah.
To me, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, it tracks. Why not?
Right. Yeah.
If they didn't need to be regulated, then they wouldn't have been regulated. But because they need to be able to fund it as well.
Yeah. Right,
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's on them. It's their fault.
It sounds kind of stupid.
How dare they work for us and not want to pay for their own HR?
I'm just here for the free cigars.
That's why we need an HR department.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't tell you that you can't have free cigars anymore, but HR can.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think our HR department right now is pretty stellar.
Right now, just wait till we
start charging it.
wait till we start hiring some real assholes.
I mean, I heard an agreement that policy was good. Isn't that what you heard?
Played the fifth.
Yeah. But yeah, this is I don't know.
Yeah.
This is always something, even from the right out the gate when we started Warfighter, and we're learning about all these things. And when I learned about this, I was just like, wait, hold on. Yeah. So you're trying to tell me that previous to this didn't matter. But we fell under an alphabet soup agency.
Right.
But we didn't have to pay them to regulate us. They just did it out of their kindness of their heart, And then now that Obama decides the FDA needs to be in charge of doing tobacco, right, and not the ATF, which is in their name.
Right.
And then the FDA decides that, oh, you know what? We need Congress to pass a budget to fund us so we can regulate them.
Yeah. In the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Hundreds of millions. $712 million in 1 year.
Yeah. To write some shit and make some laws and
that's insane.
To do what exactly? To do what? Oh, but you had to take us to court and you had to we had to defend against all that too. Fuck the FDA.
But they've got such a good track record.
I can't believe this math makes sense. I mean, it does make sense, but it's insane. So $712 million a year.
Yeah.
Right? The Center for Tobacco Products, the FDA Center for Tobacco Products, that's where essentially these funds are going, as far as my knowledge is. They need to spend $1.95 million a day
on regulations or whatever.
On whatever it is to make up for $712 million a year. That's $2 million a day.
Those assholes haven't even said hi to us one time. They never came and visited.
I guarantee you not a single person in the Center of Tobacco Products knows my name.
Yeah.
$2 million a day, you better fucking first name basis with everybody in this industry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I don't know if we've talked about it before, but coming from the firearm industry, which is it similar in the crazy regulations and everything?
It's different.
Nobody bitches because it doesn't go back and forth. Well, no, actually, it goes back and forth twice as bad. But it's not on a monetary thing. The fee schedules that are in the firearms industry have been that way for fucking a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All of them, pretty much. NFA tax stamps from 1934.
64.
34.
Yeah, 64 is when they did away with machine guns. Transferables.
ITAR tax, that's been the same for fucking ever.
Probably.
Or close to it. But it's semi-reasonable.
Yeah, but we never had to pay it until 10 years ago. Because unless you actually ITAR, unless you actually traded with other countries.
Right.
But now it's mandatory that if you have a manufacturing license, you have to do it, even though we didn't do dick all with other countries. Right. So
yeah.
No, I don't know. Regulations suck. So
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Cigar industry is just different.
Fuck you, big tobacco. Yep. Yeah. Philip Morris, RJ Reynolds.
Yeah.
Fucking. They saw a good thing. They took advantage of it.
Yeah.
And then now this is the fucking world we live in. Thanks, guys. I'm very excited. I know on previous episodes we've talked about I don't know if we ever did it on here or not, but I know we did it on Freedom Friends. We talked about food.
Yeah.
And how big tobacco was involved in food. And if you don't know that story, just do some Googling.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised on how big tobacco transitioned and is now one of the largest food producers in the world. With chemically regulated foods that are causing major health issues in the United States. And most of them are banned in every country around the world. But it's interesting to see how all of that kind of happened. And what people think common knowledge is until you learn about things.
Yeah.
And then you realize that, oh no, that was marketing propaganda.
Like your food pyramid.
That was big tobacco.
Yeah.
And it got adopted by the U.S. government.
Yeah.
And it got put out in every fucking classroom.
Yeah. And it's how we poisoned ourselves for fucking sugars. We're in the fucking food pyramid.
Yeah. But there's a lot of stuff that I've seen lately about food. And I've even heard some politicians starting to talk about food
here in the last week or two.
Yeah. And it's I'm glad that I mean, I hope, who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Probably not, but yeah. I would love to see if there's a bigger picture that's uncovered with all of this. Like, because there's right, like the food stuff, it was, depending on what articles you read and what you look at, it was designed the way it's designed. So that way people ate more food and, you know, they bought more items.
Right.
What ended up happening was that, and also huge negative health effects, like over the past 50 years.
Yeah.
Which propped up Big Pharma. How are they all tied together? Like, it was a master scheme of like, hey, listen, this is how we're going to destroy the world, but make insane amounts of money.
Right.
You know, you need to genetically alter all the food to fuck people up, and I'm going to give them the meds to quote unquote make them better.
Right.
And then all we're going to do is prolong their life and make them miserable, but make a shitload of money on it. You in? You know, like,
I don't know if there's that much competence in government or
this isn't government.
Yeah,
that's the only reason why I think
yeah.
it's private sector.
Yeah.
The government just played along. They're like, food pyramid, that's cool. I'm in. Let's go.
It has to.
Yeah.
They have a chart. It has to be a good idea.
That looks very well.
It was like the food pyramid was the first PowerPoint. Everybody in government was like,
you know what? No, that's what the government took from the food pyramid.
Yeah.
They're like, we'll pimp this, but we don't really give a shit. But how do you do a PowerPoint?
Yeah. We must see this technology and make it mandatory across the board.
Oh, yep.
I think that's my new favorite conspiracy theory that the food pyramid started PowerPoint. So once again, fuck the food pyramid. Even bigger fuck you to the food pyramid.
But can you imagine just like on a overhead projector, the clear, transparent things, right?
Yeah.
They put the pyramid with no writing on it.
Yeah.
Then the next sheet was like one layer had the writing. The next layer had the writing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that's where PowerPoints came from.
Oh man. I love this. I love everything about this.
That was an analog PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Now we're doing digital PowerPoints.
That was an overhead projector, but that's the same thing.
Do you think a lot of this, like, do you think the age of people being able to have their own platforms like podcasts and stuff like that? Because I know Joe Rogan's had doctors come on and they kind of give the backstory behind that. Do you think that's kind of what's pushing more of like, hey, here's what's really behind the curtain type deal?
How else would anybody have ever known any of this?
And yeah, which is crazy to me to think like before all this, it was just like, this is what was put out. And
in
everybody was like,
1995 or whatever, I would drink Mountain Dew. I would go into our chow hall. They had the food pyramid posted in the chow hall.
really?
Yeah. That was in the 2000s.
Damn.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't know.
That's one of
It's not like we ever, like, I think when did the food pyramid go away? Was it the same time Google came out and you could realize that, oh, this shit's bad for you? Like, I don't know.
Well, it's really funny too when you look at like a lot of these, I don't know, fad diets for lack of better words. And then you look at so many people that try to debunk them and be like, these are not healthy for you.
Yeah.
Using like government released data over the past however many years that were all generated to sell more bullshit.
Yeah.
So when you have these diets that are like, this will literally change your life. And people are like, yeah, no, that's unhealthy for you. You shouldn't eat whatever it is. And it's just like, maybe you should. If I have something that's been in my pantry for 6 months, I probably shouldn't eat that.
I agree. Yeah.
Like it's probably not. You show me something that's in the wild that lasts 6 months that I can eat. That's.
Yeah. So the food pyramid went away in 2011.
Yeah. And then started in 92.
Yeah.
Apparently, it first evolved in Sweden in the 1970s, but I have a strong feeling their food pyramid is a whole lot different than the one we.
But look
up who created the food pyramid.
Oh, just look at the base real quick while you have it there. Look at the base of the food pyramid. Is breads, cereals, rice, pastas, 6 to 11 servings.
Yep.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yep. No, meat should be on the bottom.
Yeah.
The USDA created
No,
the food pyramid.
That's not right.
Oh. Well,
Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
Why do you say that's not right?
Because Big Tobacco did.
Oh, well.
The USDA adapted it, but Big Tobacco created this based off of one of their food production companies that they purchased and used it as marketing.
My guess is they made breads or something. Or
No, yeah,
it was probably General Mills, right?
They make
cereals.
it's all the processed grains.
Yeah.
Right? The enhanced, bleached, blah, blah, blah. I'm removing any nutritional value out of this. So I can sell you things to add into it that are bad for you, but that look like you're getting nutrients. Or just Google Big Tobacco food pyramid. Maybe that'll pull it up. Who knows?
There's an article from the University of Michigan.
Go back. I'm sorry. I don't know if this is going to give us a lot.
Yeah.
Go up. Which food companies are owned by Big Tobacco? Top one. Nabisco, Kraft, General Foods are owned by Philip Morris, R.J. Reynolds.
Yeah.
They bought those in the 1980s.
Yeah. This is when the government cracked down on regulating cigarettes. They were like, shit, we have thousands of scientists
Right.
that are engineering our cigarettes to make them more addictive. Now we're being regulated. What else can we do this to make it addictive and not get it regulated? Food. So they went all in on it.
Yeah.
Right? But you got to think, the majority of shit that you can't pronounce is on the ingredients in the back of a food label. That wasn't in food 20 years ago.
Yeah, or 40 years ago. Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
40 years ago, probably wasn't even in existence.
Yeah.
It's insane. That's a rabbit hole.
I love when we were doing the World War II posters, and I was going through and looking at old like cigarette ads and World War II ads and stuff like that. Some of these cigarette posters,
They're awesome.
oh, they're fucking hilarious.
Or they have the doctors smoking it, or the pregnant.
The pregnant ladies
Yeah.
9 out of 10 doctors recommend.
smoking pregnant. Oh man, it's
Recommend non-filter fucking
oh.
Right.
whatever. Yeah.
I do think it's funny how we've done the complete switch from like smoking cigarettes was like drinking water. Everybody did it.
Yeah.
Everybody did it inside, wherever the fuck you were. Smoking a cigarette's cool. And now we've had the total flip where it's like you have the John Daly's of the world who are just ripping packs.
Yeah.
Like while they're playing a round of 18. There's actually I forget her name, but there's a lady on the WPGA, the Women's Pro Golf Association. She'll literally smoke in between holes, or like when she hits her drive and she's got a long walk, her caddy, like she hits it and it's like she hands caddy driver, caddy hands her carton of cigarettes. Like, and everybody was losing their shit. But I was like, it's crazy how that total flip in society has happened.
Yeah.
But racing was really cool when fucking tobacco was in it.
The Winston Cup.
Oh,
yeah. It was the best.
Absolutely.
The Marlboro Man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Joe Camel.
Yeah.
You kind of sounded like the Marlboro Man.
I know I did. I tried. I tried to.
But
yeah, Smoking Joe's Racing. I remember I wanted a Smoking Joe's Honda CBR so bad. It was a cool fucking bike.
It looked really good. And then when I got older, I realized you could just buy the plastic set for like $400 on eBay. I was like, oh, that's it. That's okay.
What year was that? That probably was 96.
Yeah.
97.
Yeah,
That was still in
something
high school.
there.
Though.
Yeah. And the Marlboro catalog and collecting Marlboro miles.
Yeah, look at that thing. It's a sexy bike.
Right. Yep.
Joe's.
Yeah. Smoking Joe's with the camel on it.
I mean, I would still own that bike. That's a pretty sweet bike.
Yeah.
What year of bike is that one?
I think
That's a late 90s.
98.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because that was a precursor to another bike. And I wanted a 2004 CBR 600 F4i.
Yeah.
And it was very similar to that, but it was fuel injected. And it was the most sought after bike to convert to do stunts with. Just because it was it was set up very, very nice to do that.
Yeah.
You didn't have to modify much besides like a seat, your gear ratios, chains, and that kind of shit, and bars. But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Ain't got much else.
Mm-mm.
No questions.
No questions.
All right.
We
Nobody
answered a good
liked
chunk
us.
of them over the last couple episodes.
Well, I think the last one too wasn't that the how about that cigar one, or did we do one after that?
No, we had the other episode where we answered a bunch of questions. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, did we? My goldfish brain can't remember. Did we talk about the cigar prop?
Oh no. Yeah,
Yeah.
we should.
Yeah.
What was the name of the podcast? It was
Let's go to Cigar Props page on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or Rumble. They had a name for it. I can't remember what it was.
yeah, let me see if I can find it quick.
Tap that ash? Or I'd tap that.
I'd tap
I'd tap
yeah.
that
There you
cigar show.
I'd tap that cigar show.
Yeah. But yeah, we were on that. We recorded that yesterday. 2 days ago. I don't even know. 2 days ago.
Yeah, that was live on YouTube and
Yep.
Rumble, I guess.
But yeah, Kevin with Cigar Prop. He's based out of Florida. And we actually were on their show years ago. We were at a cigar lounge in Clarksville, Tennessee. And we were on their show. No idea who Kevin was at the time or what Cigar Prop was or what they did.
Yeah,
or
we were pretty green.
and I don't even know if like we knew previous to us being at that lounge that we were going to be on the show or not.
I don't think we did.
I don't. But anyways, we were on it, and one of the guys that was at the lounge got pretty drunk, and we had a great show.
Yeah, it was funny. But that was the last time we were on his show.
That was.
And yeah, this one was great. It was like 2.5 hour show, I think.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
We talked about a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, so if you want to hear about our I mean, they interviewed us, so it was like I think we told some war stories that we hadn't told anywhere else probably before.
Well, just some very unique questions. That's a big. The one thing I do like about Kevin, I remember they interviewed me at one trade show a couple of years ago. I can't remember what it was. And typically, like when you do at these trade shows, you know, you got, I don't even know how many media guys that are running around, you know, but at any given day, you're doing, you know, 2 to 6 interviews, whether it's, you know, a 30-second spot or you sit down for 10 minutes with somebody. But for the most part, they all kind of ask the same questions, you know. And if you're a newer company, okay, well, you know, when did you start? How did you start? You know, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. What's new? What's a new release? What's, you know, this? What's that? Tell me about your cigars. Like, there's only so much you can ask. Yeah, right. And I get it, you know. And so Kevin walked up a couple of years ago. He's like, hey, I need like 20 seconds. And we were really busy. And I'm like, cool, man, whatever you need. And he's like, he hooks the mic up and he's like, okay, I'm just going to give you a couple random questions real quick. Just first thing that comes to your mind. And he launches these questions and they were like left field questions, you know, like just off the wall. And so like mentally I'm prepared. Like I've already done 100 interviews in the last 3 days. Like, let's go. I got anything. And then he shoots me like, what? I can't even remember the question, but he shoots me the question. I was just like shit, that's a good one. Yeah. But no, they do their homework and they think of some really cool questions and open up the conversation. Really nice. But yeah. So next week I'll be out of town. And so hopefully we'll have some pretty cool.
The listeners won't notice though because we'll have an episode.
Yeah. So. We'll have an episode, but what I was saying with that though is we might have some pretty interesting guests that are not cigar related that we might have on the show. We'll see if we can sneak some time in to sit down with them or not. But if not, it'll be business as usual moving forward. Every Friday we get a show coming out for you guys, whether it's both of us with guests, one of us with a guest, none of us, and some random person. You'll see. But yeah, and we'll keep you up to date with all the fun stuff we got going on. We don't really have any fun stuff going on right now.
Not right now.
No.
Yeah.
We're in that weird limbo. Trade show fucked everything up.
Yeah.
If it was still in July, it would have been business as usual.
Yeah.
But yeah, Justin, you got anything else for us?
Nothing from me, boys.
Sweet.
All right.
So go to warfightertobacco.com for all your smoky treat needs. And other than that, we'll see you guys next Friday. Bye, buddy.